Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Gallowgateshots podcast and YouTube channel. We are back, the Always Smiling Faces podcast, lads, and myself, Chris Wallace, Mark Walker, Decker Pedry, and Stephen Best to look back over that 1-1 draw with Wolverhampton. A 1-1 draw, which the majority of, well, the four of us really expected that. It's a game against Wolverhampton. It normally ends this way. It does normally end up in a draw. But I'll come straight to you, Bestie. Looking back at that game now, like we said, we would have taken a point before the game at full time. It feels as if it's a defeat, doesn't it?
It does a bit. It was an expensive point, losing St. Maximin, losing Almiron. I mean, I think when you lose the lead as well, when you draw, when you've been in front, it does feel a little bit like you've an opportunity missed. So yeah, it's not a bad point. It kind of, the performance was okay, I thought, for the most part. Obviously, there's issues all over the place, but it was better than we've seen. But yeah, it does feel quite deflating.
It's not the best. Obviously, Bessie, you've touched on the injury concerns. I do want to speak about this quite a bit, and I'll come to you, Decker. Well, on the back of huge injuries to Fabian Schär, Manquillo, and Callum Wilson. Also, you could probably put Federico Fernandez in there, who's been missing for quite a lot of time. And now it looks like we've picked up injuries for Almiron and Saint, who's only just returned. We've seen in the past with Saint that when he picks up an injury, he's normally missing for a few weeks minimum. We're just praying now, Decker, that these aren't long-term injuries.
We are praying. You're right. I mean, it's such a worry, isn't it? I mean, it's a real difficult one for me at the minute in terms of how I'm trying to process the game, because I thought in large parts we played well. I couldn't really sort of argue with the tactics. I couldn't argue with the approach. I thought we had so many chances to kill the game off before we ended up conceding. I mean, we really did. I can't really complain much about the game, but the thing that dampens it is them injuries. That's what I keep coming back to in my mind, is like, God, we've lost. And in fairness, and I'm not saying people like him, but we've also lost our right back there as well. And we've got to remember Manquillo was out at the minute. So if you've lost your right back, then we haven't got anyone that can naturally play that position either. So, and I'm telling you now, any team in the league, right? Liverpool lost Van Dijk and wanted the league cancelled, right? We've lost Saint, Almiron, and Wilson. And I'm telling you, if any team lost the quality of them three players, or their three best players, you're going to struggle. And that's what we're potentially facing here.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. Mark, I'm not sure if you're listening to Bruce's interview. Are you listening to Bruce's interview right now? I won't come to you if you are.
Yeah, he's getting an interview just now.
Right, I'll come back to you in a minute. You listening in, and we'll come back to Steve Bruce's comments soon. Bessie, where do you think we lost that game? Obviously, there's been a lot of things on social media and things when we were doing our live stream for the watch along there. People blaming Dubravka, saying he should have done better for the goal. Is it solely down to Dubravka? Bessie,
Bruce has just blamed Dubravka. Like, he's just said Dubravka should do better for it.
Okay, Bestie, what's your thoughts?
I think Dubravka should do better with the header. I think he gets a hand to it and should really be pushing it away. Like, but when you look at the analyze the goal at half time, and Neves comes from so deep, and it's Joe Willock's man, and Willock kind of chases him, and then about 25 yards out, just goes, I'm not going to bother now, which leaves Neves on Hayden, and Hayden just doesn't react quickly enough. So I think if you're going to divvy it out, you've got to say Dubravka should save it. Certainly, Willock should do better chasing back, and Hayden, it feels harsh blaming Hayden when the other two have kind of let themselves down a little bit as well, but maybe should be a little bit more alert. But if Willock tracks back, then Hayden hasn't got a decision to make. So,
especially with Hayden, though, you got to remember at the time Hayden's getting moved left, right, and centre. Yeah. At this point, Hayden been playing centre midfield for the last couple of games. I know he has slotted in at right back when needed, but mid game, it's probably a lot harder to adjust to that position. Mark, I'll let you keep on listening to Bruce there, but Decker,
he's gone. He's gone now.
He's gone. But I'll come to you, Decker, first. Obviously, a big talking point is Dubravka coming back in the team. Bessie just obviously mentioned there that he should have done better with the goal. Are you in the same impression?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think this might be a harsh angle I'm going to say here, but if a keeper can get a full hand of it, probably I'm expecting them to keep it out. Unless it's an absolute screamer, you know what I
Rocket.
mean? Whereas the lad's going away from goal, and I mean, if you probably asked Dubravka now, he'd say, "Yeah, I should save that." I honestly believe he would say that. So if the own person who's did the mistake or the error or whatever you want to call it, it is disappointing. And do you know why it's even more disappointing is because of how much talk everyone's had about that one position. And I think that's what upsets you a bit more, I think. I mean, Matty said it in our group chat, didn't he, that watch him do a mistake on Saturday? Sorry, I'm not pinning it on you, Matty. It's not your fault. But I mean, like, the conversation, how it's been going, that was in the back of my mind was like, God, I really hope he has a good game. But, you know, it is what it is.
I think you can look at later on in the game though when the second save was made, where it's pinpoint and Dubravka does he hits his shoulder, he hits his arm, and hits somewhere, but he's big in front of goal and he stops that from hitting the back of the net. And I think to give Dubravka credit, that's why he's there. He seems to pull off these saves. And I said during the live stream, I'll come back to you, Bestie. I said during the live stream that there was that save was glimmers of the Man U game where he wasn't necessarily pulling off amazing saves, but his body was just in the way.
Yeah, I think that's something that, and I mean, I don't want to turn into a Darlow v Dubravka kind of thing because that'll be happening on Twitter all week, no doubt. But that's something that Darlow does really well is he makes himself big and you see kind of just tries his best to impede, you know. And Dubravka did great there. I mean, I don't think he knows a great deal about it. The header comes in. He flings an arm at it, and it happens to hit him like on the shoulder, it seems, and kind of on the side of the crossbar. But as a goalkeeper, that's your job. If you stop it from going in, then that's the main thing. Like, you know, obviously there's other things to consider when you can about getting the ball clear and hold on to it if you can. Like, but from that, he couldn't have done any better there. That's just it's a weird one where part of his things, well, the ball's hit him more than he's got the ball, but. He's done well. He has done well. He has just got enough on it with his arm, like so. Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, you've got to remember he's not played this season. I don't think he played since. Is it over a year now?
It'll be a while, mate. It will be a while.
He played in
the cup. Arsenal. I think wasn't it Arsenal away? I think he played. Well, I think he played in a cup match recently, but that was it.
But he's he'll be very rusty and like.
Do you think if he had a few games on his belt, that goal that we conceded would have been different, or we're just bigging him up a little bit too much?
I think it's more likely that he saves it. I'm not saying for definite because Dubravka has got an error.
He's got a mistake in him, of course he does.
But I think if he's been playing a month, let's say, I think it's more likely that he keeps that out. Yeah, he sort of cut a couple of his passes early on. He tries to play one through to Shelby that was a little bit off target and. There was another one in the second half. It went straight to Wolves, lad, and I think it's a bit of rustiness there as well. Like, but yeah, I think with more games under his belt, maybe he doesn't save it, but I think it's more likely that he does.
I'll come to you,
He's been
Mark.
out all season, hasn't he? That's the top and bottom of it. You know, he hasn't played games, so he's not going to be, you know, at that match level with the reflex saves and stuff like that. I mean, Bestie, you mentioned somebody earlier on, you know, talking about that save that we're talking about where it comes off his body. You know, Schmeichel. How many times did the ball just hit Schmeichel just because he made himself big? He got his body in the way and stuff like that. It's being in the right place at the right time, isn't it? And just getting something on it. It's one of those things, isn't it? It's a very good cross that comes over. Fantastic header. How he headers that ball when the ball's behind him to get it on. And you know, Dubravka's going across it at full strength. He gets his hand to it. Yes, you're expecting him to do better there, but one of them things.
I don't think we can deny that it's piss poor defending from start to finish, though. I think that's what we need to remember here. And Decker, you always allude to this, that you need to stop those balls coming into the box. And when the balls come into the box, you need to defend them. Then your keeper is basically the last resort. Your keeper is there to stop those from happening. But the block and the roadblock needs to be in there far before that. Long time before that. And there's X amount of chances to stop it. And it doesn't happen.
Absolutely right. So often I see, not just us, any team concede a goal. I always try and look at how they've lost the ball, like how cheaply have they lost possession, and then what have they done to try and stop either a pass or a cross. And I'm telling you, we never, ever stopped the cross. You're going back to the one that Dubravka saved incredibly well at the end. The lads on the edge of the box takes a touch and then crosses it. On the edge of our box has the time to take a touch, set himself, and then cross it. We have to be stopping the crosses from coming in. And I don't know why, but neither fullback stops the cross from coming in. We'll just allow the ball to come in, and you're just inviting danger, right? You know what I mean? And Bestie said it while we're actually doing the live, and he's right, is that a lot of times I think they think, oh, well, as we've got Lascelles and Clark, they're great in the air, them two. Them will handle the balls coming in. Just stop the cross, lads. Just get out there and stop the cross from coming in. But,
you're right. So Mark, while we were talking there for the first 10 minutes there, Steve Bruce was doing his post-match interviews. Did he have anything whatsoever interesting to say, or was it the usual copy and paste scenario?
No, to be fair, he's focused on, as he has the last couple of games, the fact that it's been a much improved performance, and give him his dues today. It was in big chunks of it. We played well. He's focused on the fact that up until the point where Miggy got injured after kind of half an hour, that's when then Wolves started getting into the game. So, I mean, we talked about it during the game, as that Miggy didn't look right, but he made it through till half time. But it does coincide with that last 15 minutes of the first half of when Wolves started coming back into it, was after Miggy kind of pulled up with his knee. And that he's kind of, obviously the fact that we have then gone into the second half without him, and then Saint's gone off with a bad injury.
Was it a groin injury, Mark?
Is he said bad injury?
He said he doesn't know what the hell his physio was playing at, rubbing his inside thigh, but definitely was his groin. But Bruce did, as Lascelles did, kind of made reference to that there was a little bit of miscommunication on the pitch. So
we're there. What we need to know now is, where is this miscommunication coming from?
So he blamed Matt Ritchie, basically. So what he's saying is that he gave the instructions to Matt, as he called him, when he went on the pitch, and then they were slow to react to it, getting him in. But to be fair, I think that all happened well before the goal, because by the point that they then scored.
When we mentioned this during the live recording, when Matty came on the pitch, he did go to Hayden. He did say something. Yeah. We mentioned this, so something was communicated there. What was the wrong information communicated? Come on, we're Premier League team here. Is it that bad? Can we not get one message from the touchline to 10 yards onto the field to tell a player where he's supposed to be standing?
Well, we all said during the live that surely if Richie's coming on, then the sensible and thing that you expecting is Hayden's going to go to right back, and obviously that was the instruction that was given, and as it transpired, that's where he then went and played. But whether or not there's just been a little bit of a delay to him getting back into that right back position or not, but as Bestie rightly pointed out, although yes, he was involved in the goal, it was Willock's man that kind of gets the header in there. Lewis has done over on the far side to get the cross in, as Decker mentioned as well. So
I think we can look at it though. I'll come to you, Bestie. I think we can look at it, and there was some, because I know in the previous games, even the start of this game, I said our full backs are targets here, and for all the running Traore did, he never really had a clear shot or a clear chance. Traore. I think obviously Kraft, he skipped past him left, right, and centre. But I think the end product, what was the main concern. If I was a Wolves fan, I wouldn't be happy with the end product. They were getting past players that then messing up. But I think individually, there was probably a handful of decent performances from our players. One of them being the player who a lot of people don't like speaking about and don't like giving a lot of credit to. And I'll say this now before we get shit. He's not worth the money that we paid for him. He's not a Premier League striker, but Joe Linton had a few glimpses tonight.
He did. I thought he played pretty well. He had a couple of shots on his left foot from distance, which is something that you would never. For me, and maybe this is just how I kind of perceive him, he doesn't seem to be a confident-looking player. So to see him having a shot with what I suspect is his weaker foot from angles and from a bit of a distance is a bit unusual. And he had that one clear of the line as well, which was I've seen people saying it was a sitter. Sky's
not a sitter.
It's not a sitter. He's beat the keeper. If you beat the keeper and they get the shot on target, then you think, oh well, it's unless you've ruled it, then you think, oh well, you can't really do a great deal more than that. Dion Dublin and Jermaine Beckford in the studio full time was saying, oh, you should do better. And I think that's a bit harsh. And I understand and I appreciate that I'm maybe a little bit more gentle with Joe Linton on my views on Joe Linton some, but and I don't think there's any arguing that he's not a £40 million striker. You wouldn't have said last or summer before last when he came in that he'd have 4 or 5 goals in League and Cup. And you know, I was looking at we had looking at Carl Coates' record this week. He's got 7 in 22, and he was a failure, and he got 1 goal every 3 games he played for. Mind that was over like a 2.5 year period, like, so you know, the apples and oranges and all that, like. But yeah, I think Joe Linton, I thought he played pretty well tonight for the most part. I just want to say as well, while I've got a chance, I've noticed Declan and Mark have both said, as Bestie rightly said earlier on, in this one so far, and it's that. Cheers, my lads. It's nice now you've got me back. Even though I didn't actually mention Schmeichel tonight, but I'll take it.
Somebody mentioned Schmeichel.
You did, man.
Somebody definitely did.
You definitely did.
I always think it because Schmeichel, when I was a kid,
You said that Schmeichel was the difference between Man United winning the league.
Yeah, you did.
You're right. I did say that. Bestie did rightly say, but Schmeichel was what you were saying earlier, Mark, about Schmeichel was something I noticed because I played in goal when I was at school, and beyond. And I was a kid when Schmeichel was like at his best.
You played in goal and beyond. That would be
in
in the dark.
Slippery was dark as well, like, but like it was something I noticed he did, something I started trying to do, and I wasn't as successful because I was, like I say, I was dreadful, like. But if he would just come out and like almost star jump at people, and the size of him and the ability of him as well, like it as often as not, it would have the desired effect. Like, so yeah. No, that was something that was in relation to Darlow. I keep doing that. Dubravka's saving the second half there. But yeah, I think Joe Linton, to get back to the point,
he didn't, Bestie, let's be honest, he didn't have a fantastic game, but he did. He did a decent job when obviously he had that shot with his left foot, like you said, his weaker shot, and obviously there's a goal. But that is a goal. That's a goal waiting to happen, apart from the defender on the line.
Definitely.
Of course it is.
But the thing is, when you're talking about a £40 million striker, and you're saying that the highlights of his game or a shot that he had on his left foot, and one that got clear of the line, it doesn't really scream success, does it? Unfortunately,
of course it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. But I think as a fan base now, we are so quick to criticise the likes of these players. Is that when they do have a decent game, people just refuse to see it, and I think it needs to be said at times. I really do.
I agree.
It's probably his second game in a row because his last game wasn't a bad one. And I looked on Twitter after the last game, and he was getting pelters, absolute pelters. We'll move on from Joe Linton because it's an argument not worth having at the minute because there's bigger concerns than a player who's playing.
Well, Chris, you just mentioned there, people getting stick and stuff like that, and not getting credit where they deserve it. I'll hold my hands up to this one. I thought Shelby was fantastic tonight, and I'm the first to give him grief when he doesn't play. We talked about Willock not picking up his man. How many times do we see Shelby in that position do something like that? But tonight he was brilliant. The way he was passing the ball around and moving the ball, getting with on the attack, spraying it around. It is when he is at his best, and he didn't have to do the bits of the tracking back and picking up that he does often get, the complaints about his game from. So I thought he was very, very good tonight. So fair play.
I just want to say to people who are listening just to the audio only that this video is going out as a live video, and I do want to jump into some of the comments throughout over the next 10 minutes of what have been sent in while we are talking. So if it seems a little bit jumbled, that's the reason why. I did say I was going to wrap it up on Joe Linton, but there has been a comment came in. I'll come to you, Decker. Is that there's a comment here from Paul who says a £40 million player should be winning you games like that. And I think we're at the point now where we need to realise that Joe Linton is not a £40 million player. And the people to blame for that are the club, not the player. I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that, mate.
I can't really say it much better. There's not really much more to say. You're right. I mean, yes, in isolation, yeah, £40 million player should be grabbing you the 3 points, shouldn't he? You know, that's what he's there for. But you know, for me, you look at what Wilson offers when he's on the field, and he's a nuisance. Leads the line really, really well. Working the channels, always looks a threat. Always looks a nuisance. I just don't really get that from Joe Linton. You know what I mean? And I thought he played okay tonight. I'm not slagging him here. I thought he played okay tonight. I'm just saying that I feel that when Wilson's on, we really look a threat at the top end of the field. And in fairness, he's very unlucky on that one. I mean, he's beat the goalkeeper. He's done best part of it right, and it's hit this guy on the back. I mean, that instant there kind of summed up his time here. I feel like it was just, Christ, can you ever going to get any luck to score a goal? But
I'll stay with you, Decker. Forget Julian. Put him on one side for now, because we'll argue till the cows come home with Julian on. But Mark's just mentioned John Joe Shelby there. John Joe Shelby, who's had a lot of criticism over the course of this season, and even more so in the last 24, 48 hours because of the recent interview which he did with Charlie Austin, basically giving Steve Bruce credit and saying Slayton Leeds, I would say, and Leeds manager and the way they play. Shelby had a decent game tonight. Mark's alluded to that. He did. This is the game where you expect Shelby to do this every single game. It shouldn't be 1 in 10 games. He should be having this sort of performance, because he's not. Shelby isn't a grafter. We all know that. Of course he's not. But he should be that. What's the word I'm looking for? He should be that conductor in the middle of the field, dictating play. And that's the first time we've seen it for a long time tonight.
And that's why I get frustrated with him so often, because he's capable of doing it. He's 100% capable of doing it, and doing it a hell of a lot more often than he does. And,
you're right.
And
you're right,
that
Mark.
is the big problem.
You're all right, Mark. But obviously, you have been a huge critics of Shelby. And Decker, I remember when Shelby first signed for the club, Decker was a big fan of Shelby. Hence, why I'm coming to you on this one, Decker. What's your thoughts like, obviously, tonight compared to what we have seen over the last year from him?
Well, first of all, I mean,
it's harsh to say last year though, because he has had glimpses in that time. He's had good games in the last year.
Decker.
Oh, sorry, is my not gone off there? Sorry, did it? I apologize if I went off. Oh, right, sorry.
Yeah.
I thought I went off. Do you know what it is, right? If I go, I'll just quickly jump back for a second. He was the top scorer last season, as bad as that sounds. It was 6 goals or something. And I thought, you know what it is, like, maybe he's starting to get further forward and chip in with the odd goal here and there. And I have said this a lot of times about him, is that I still think that we ask him to do a role that he can't do. And that role is, we want you to chase down, track back, do tackles and stuff. Tonight, in fairness, he did a few tonight. I actually said, God, get in Shelby, done a few good sliding tackles and what have you. We went through a stage with Shelby where we were shit scared when he tried to make a tackle, because we were worried in case he'd get sent off. There was a massive hysteria about that. Everyone's kicking off, thinking, God, didn't get the ground, blah, blah. But to get to the point, is, yes, in terms of being able to dictate play and get, because in our midfield, he is the person that's going to get we're moving up the field. He is the person that's going to start creating moves. And tonight, someone's going to really kick off here. Tonight, it was more like the Cabaye role, where, you know, when Cabaye was coming deep, but he's purposefully coming deep for a reason. And I thought Shelby tonight was doing that. He was coming deep, but he wasn't just trying to play Hollywood balls. He's actually trying to carry the ball a bit forward and start a move off.
I think you mentioned there the Cabaye role, Decker. But I think what you say, Cabaye was a type of midfielder. I don't want to say he was box to box, because I don't think he was, but there was games where he would sit back, what Shelby was doing, and be that quarterback role, which Pardew referred to him as, where he used to ping the balls left, right, and centre. But then the next game, you would see him how Willock was doing tonight, where he was just in the box. As soon as we were going out the field, he was in the box. And I think with Cabaye, you had the best of both worlds. And with the likes of Shelby, you don't. I think he's not that sort of player that's going to find much space in the opposition box. He's probably going to sit deep, like you said. But
there's a few times he do, like, for example, you think of the Fraser free kick there when Shelby makes that dart and run and gets on the edge of the box and fires it over. It's the type them the areas of the field where I think he could be better there. He's got the quality. There's no doubt about it. And definitely in regards to the comment you made about how consistent the team's not consistent, for first of all, but he definitely needs to be more consistent, because that's the performance he can put in. I'm not really expecting him to do it against Man City's, and I'm really not.
Mhm.
But when we play Wolves, your Burnleys, your West Broms, he should be running the show. I really do believe that.
Any of the top six, you would say. Any of the top six is when he should really think, this is my chance to show what I can do in the team. You mentioned consistency there, Digger, and I'll come back to you, Bestie. Lascelles is probably another one where Lascelles have been pretty ropey at times, but tonight he got the goal. He made a couple of decent tackles tonight. Last-ditch tackles where he just threw his body in front of it and won the ball. It was great to see from Lascelles, because once again, we know he can do that. And why can't he do it on a regular basis?
It's been a thing, I mean, we've talked about for pretty much the whole time he's been here. I mean, is it who he plays alongside? Is he better in a 3 than he is a 2? I mean, that header, he has got that in him as well. He scored a few goals for it now. And that header, I mean, when he scored it, Decker made the point during the stream that it was exactly what Hayden didn't do, the header in the first half. Hayden's kind of got his head in it, but he's put it straight down Rui Patricio's throat, whereas Lascelles, it's a great ball in by Fraser, we've got to say, and Lascelles attacks it, and you can see it's like a proper, like he's trying to hurt the ball with his head, and it's a superb header, like, and it's what Lascelles can do. He's very capable. Oh, it was a bit that,
like Rondon,
not a million miles away at all. You're right. Ferdinand even, like, I'm not, maybe that's a little bit generous, like, but it's a really, really good header, and Lascelles didn't do badly tonight. No, I mean, we were talking before we came on here in our little intermission that defensively, Dubravka, with the exception of the goal and the save he made right at the end, didn't have a great deal to do. There were a couple from distance that he kind of he gobbled up, and I thought Lascelles and Clark both. When you keep us quiet, you think, oh, the centre halves have done all right here. The goal came from a ball that Willock and Hayden and Dubravka, you would say, could do better with. I mean, Clark and Lascelles for me tonight were blameless, both really solid.
Yeah, I think it's one of those positions tonight where centre backs, there was nothing coming down the middle really. Everything was coming down the flanks. And I don't think the wing backs had a huge amount of blame on their shoulders. Obviously, everything came after the substitutions, and we'll come to the substitutions now, and I'll come to you, Mark. We mentioned at the very start of this one, huge concerns now. Obviously, we've got Wilson out, Fabian Schär out for the season, Manquillo out for the season. The list goes on and on. And we'll just add it to that list now with your two key players. We're missing Callum Wilson. So Callum Wilson is probably that name on the team sheet. He's always going to be there because he's our striker. Your next two are going to be Saint and Almiron. We're missing our three most important players, I would say, right now. That's a huge concern. Obviously, we're so close after the full-time whistle that we don't know the extent of these injuries. But if they're even going to miss the next 2-3 games with muscle injuries, that's a huge concern, because we were looking at these games now thinking this is where we get our points.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you hope and you pray that the Miggy one is just a precautionary move, because he went off at half time. He played a good 15 minutes after picking up the injury and seemed to be all right, although probably not at 100% as we could tell from kind of the way that he was moving and pulled up. But he went off, so does he just need a little bit of a rest? A little bit of break from training, and then he's okay. But you run the risk of that it's not quite right. He plays again and he does more damage. So best case, you hope, and he only maybe misses a game or two. The Saint one looks he's done for weeks. Is the way I'm looking at that one.
Didn't look good, did it?
The amount of time he spent down on the ground, the way he limped off, the way the physio rubbed his inner left thigh.
Brian.
It's just, I don't know. It's massive, isn't it? And then you throw into the fact that somebody else that hasn't really got a mention is Kraft. Kraft went off injured as well. Yeah. He's the only fit right back we've got at the club, because obviously we let Yedlin go. So if he's going to be out, then you're going to have somebody filling in there in a position that's not their best. So Hayden's either got to go and play play at right back, which then means you've got to bring somebody in and sit in midfield, or you run the risk of playing somebody out of position, like maybe Murphy or
it's Hayden going at right back or Murphy, like you just mentioned. But I think in regards to centre midfield, you've got two players there in both Longstaffs who won't even get a sniff at the minute. God knows what's happening there behind the scenes. It's obviously there's rumours about Matty Longstaff's weight not being up to what it was, but that's a whole podcast in itself, to be honest with you. Bessie, I'll come to you. Missing the two players in Almiron and Saint, the two players who take you up the pitch. It seems like obviously our next game is against West Brom next Sunday, so we've got 7 days rest now. Is that West Brom game? We be looking at that saying, right, 3 points. We should be taking 3 points from this one. But when you look at that game there and the injuries that were picked up over the last couple of weeks, you think we'll be lucky to get a point out of this.
I'm not too sure I'd go as far as that. I mean, West Brom are 9 points behind us now, so I mean, there's no guarantee that they wouldn't catch me, because they beat Brighton today. Brighton are in maybe it's not quite as bad form.
God knows how they've managed to get 3 points from that game, best.
Yeah.
God knows.
But
2 penalties and a disallowed goal. Oof.
But when you look at how that game finished today, when Fraser came on for St. Maximin and Murphy came on. Well, Murphy didn't come on for Almiron, did he? But did he actually? I can't remember.
Yeah, Fraser came on for Almiron.
Sorry, Murphy came on for.
Murphy came for Kraft.
Yeah, for
Kraft. Was that Saint?
No,
Richie came on for Kraft, wasn't it?
Yeah. Either way, we'll finish the game with Fraser and Murphy, and we were penned back, but we still showed the occasional threat towards the end there with those two on the pitch. So it's not as though we don't have players that aren't capable of causing issues against. Like, so we've got West Brom coming up. I did just look at the fixtures, but I've forgotten.
I think you have a look at that West Brom game and remember who the manager is. He's going to want to get one over us.
He really is as well, mind. He really is. But as Mark said, I think St. Maximin looks like he could be done for the what's it now? February the 2.5 months left of the season.
Call it March. It's March on Monday, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. So St. Maximin, you're looking at probably the month out at least. Almiron.
You're normally 6 to 8 weeks for a groin, aren't you?
Yeah. Is his groin? Is it? You've decided that now.
I knew it was his groin. It was the physio that thought it was his thigh.
St. Maximin. Almiron. Hopefully won't be as like. I mean, Almiron could be back next week because he still played for like a quarter of an hour, like I said during the game. Like so, but I mean, Fraser, I thought looked good. That ball in Fraser played for the goal was superb. I thought it didn't look bad at all. Murphy got forward a few times as well, so all's not lost. I would say it's obviously far weaker without St. Maximin, without Almiron, but there are players there. The problem is finishing. That's our problem. I don't really have too much bother about getting the ball forward. It's getting the ball in the back of the net that we're going to struggle with. And again, similar to the start of last season, it was a defender today that did the job for
us. Yeah, no, you're right.
It scares us to death to think of saying so. Murphy's the player, like no offense to Murphy here. Murphy did some great runs tonight. He was running, but let's just remember what Saint can give. Look, tonight, some of the things he did tonight. I mean, the goal I know came from Fraser's cross, but how well did Saint do to keep a hold of it? He had 3 round him in the box.
He did.
And he somehow doesn't get tackled. I believe Murphy gets tackled there, and that move breaks down. And you look at the Willock chance. I think there's not many players in the world could have gotten in that area that Saint got to give Willock that chance. And we've talked long and hard about Almiron for however long, how good he is. It's so concerning. But it is putting the ball in the back of the net, isn't it? And does that mean then Gale comes in? Does Joe move out wide and then Gale comes in? Because technically we're losing 2 players here. So
was it not the reverse fixture where Gale scored?
No, Murphy scored.
No,
against West Brom.
Gale scored against West Brom.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry,
he meant West Brom. Sorry.
Wolves.
Yeah, was it a header? Wasn't it? It was a cracking header, by the way.
Yeah.
Murphy
crossed
didn't he?
Murphy crossed.
Let's not forget we've got a Champions League winner on the bench as well. Man who won the treble with Man U in 1999.
Wow, we're going down this route now.
Dwight York sat on the bench waiting to come on.
Dwight York sat on the bench.
Yeah, that's very true.
I got that.
So people who are listening to this podcast alone won't understand that reference. But Mark Walker thought Dwight Gale was coming on the field for at one point.
Dwight York. Dwight York.
Oh no, he actually thought Dwight Gale was, but he said Dwight York. I was right. Mark was wrong.
Mind in fairness, I mean, as good a player as York was, Gale scored more goals in the last 10, 15 years, so.
Well, there's that. But
Lads,
I think
I just
the thing a bit.
Carry
I
on.
mean, I know what Decker's just been saying there about obviously Saint is a big miss, but you've got somebody to fill his position. Fraser
You
is a
don't.
left winger.
Mark, you don't. You don't.
No, you
You
do.
don't
Look,
have somebody to fill his position.
I'm
His
saying
position
Philly's,
is
Philly's position on the left-hand side of the
I'll
left
give you
wing.
that one. Yeah,
It's
Fraser's
not.
left winger. I'll give you that.
it's a body on the
They're
pitch.
not the same. They're not the same type of winger, but he can
Yeah.
go and play there. We've got somebody that can go and play on the right wing, whether that be Richie, whether that be Murphy, or whether Joe stays out there. The person that we can't really replace is Miggy.
Yeah.
Yes, we're not going to get the
Yeah.
same from what we're going to get from Fraser out on the left as Saint, but we definitely haven't got another player that can do what Miggy can do. Fraser will give you something different to Saint down the left-hand side, but he'll still give you that pace. He'll still create chances. That is the worry for me. We've spent a lot of this season already without Saint, so it's nothing new really.
We struggled.
We've won 2 and
struggled.
17.
We struggled. Obviously,
But we didn't have Fraser at the same time as well. And
This is
that
another thing.
sounds like I'm pinning all my hopes on Fraser, which I'm not,
incredibly.
but at least he can go out there.
I'm incredibly, happy Fraser got his assist, and I was happy to see him on the pitch. But he has been injury prone since he's arrived, and it honestly felt like every week in training, he's got a knock. He's not feeling very well.
and he got sent off.
Then he got sent off, and I like Fraser, and I was very happy that when we signed him, and tonight he did well when he come on. But it's a difficult thing to look at and go, it's okay, we'll have Fraser here for the remainder of the season, because I don't think we will. I really don't.
So what Mark said, he is right. Obviously, you can take Saint out of the team and put Fraser in that position, but our change of tide came. Obviously, I mentioned this in the live stream. Obviously, it was with the arrival of Graham Jones and the new tactics that he brought with him, but it was also in line with Saint returning to the team as well. When Saint, people who don't really can't figure out why Dick is saying "dong" is because his lights just got off and it's an Undertaker reference. But
this is why you should watch. This is why you should watch YouTube and not just listen.
But I want to start wrapping this one up. I don't want to go on for too long for a reaction here, but I think now, previously I was worried about relegation. I really was. But now, depending on the injuries to these two key players now, it's made it a little bit worse for me. Like, in fact, a little bit, massively worse. I'll come to you, Bestie, but it's massive. Those two injuries tonight are huge in our relegation fight. Apparently, we're not in a relegation fight. Apparently, Steve Bruce is just going to see what happens at the end of the season, see what points we've accumulated by the end of the season. We're not accumulating many points.
No, we're not. I do think we're in real trouble of going down. I mean, I'm not getting hysterical about it, but and Decker made the point earlier, Fulham have won 4 games all season. So, I mean, unfortunately for us, I think 3 of those 4 games have been in the last couple of months.
Confidence is high in Fulham.
Yeah, it is. And that last game at Craven Cottage could be huge. It could be absolutely massive. If you had to ask us, do I feel weirdly, up until the point that Wolves scored and kind of our team started to fall apart, I felt more comfortable about the prospects of staying up than I had at any point in the last, say, a week or two. Now, full time, like you say, a lot depends on how quickly they can get Almiron and St. Maximin back, particularly Almiron. Obviously, he's the one that, as I said earlier, doesn't appear to be as badly injured. And he's the one that you don't replace what he gives you, the energy he gives you. The way he carries the ball up the pitch, his end product isn't always wonderful, but another thing is how long. I mean, Mark mentioned during the live stream that Wilson appears to be making good progress on his way back. So, is the temptation going to be to risk him at a point before he should be? I mean, there's so much to happen over the next few weeks, but I think we are in very, very deep trouble of going down. I personally think that we probably will go down, but I'd be wonderfully happy to be proved wrong on that.
That's my main concern. I'll come to you, Mark, just before we start wrapping this one down. That's my major concern now, where when you look at Fulham and their confidence is high, and you look at us where, yes, we'll pick it up a point tonight, a whole point against Wolves, Wolves aren't in fantastic form, let's remember, but it's those huge injuries, massive injuries to our squad. Not just tonight, our squad in general, where you're looking at 3, 4, 5 key players. Well, 5. Let's be honest, you're looking at 5 of your starting 11 who are injured right now. That's not good. It's really not good, and I hate to say it, but we are falling that relegation zone at some point over the next couple of weeks. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit like Bestie was. I had a bit of confidence that we probably would have enough to stay up. I said last week that the coming month was going to be a massive test for the club and would be the difference in us staying up or going down. With those injuries that we've picked up tonight, gives us a massive dent in the squad. As we've already just talked about, it takes out all of our attacking threat that we've got. So I'm massively worried now. Like it's you take those players out. Like I think was Bestie said earlier on, if you take those players out of any team, you 3 big players, then you're gonna struggle. Whoever you are, was Decker that said it? Sorry,
he would never say that, Bestie.
So I don't know. You just the fact that West Brom have picked up a win today, that's going to give them a bit of a boost. I don't know. They're probably still too far off to come back into it, but you can never say never with Allardyce. Burnley's got Spurs tomorrow, so you'd hope that Spurs would have enough to beat them, just to keep them in and around us. But it takes us back to where we've been season after season, where we're relying on other teams in and around us to lose games.
So there's been a lot of comments tonight about a video that's doing the rounds. I haven't seen it until now. I've just asked people to tag us in the video which is going around, which is basically Steve Bruce telling Graham Jones to fuck off.
Oh God, I've seen it. Yeah.
I've only just seen the video there where Bruce's head's down, Graham Jones is standing proud, looking onto the field, and Bruce looks up and just goes, "Fuck off."
Like, well, Jones says something to Bruce, and then Bruce goes, "Oh, fuck off!" Like, "Oh, fuck off." You know
that could be anything.
You know what it was, obviously.
That could be anything. To be fair, we don't know the conversation that's happening. I tell these lads to fuck off all the time.
This is the problem with, with the situation Bruce is in. If he laughs wrong, tell someone to fuck off. Like, everything he does now is a problem. So I can imagine Twitter's just running wild with that at the moment. You know what I mean?
It is.
I can imagine. I've seen the video and I was like, we have no idea what the context is to that conversation at all. But I still come back to the more thing I'm worried about is the injuries. I'm more worried about that than him telling him to fuck off, personally. And I think a lot of it's going to ride on Almiron. I think if Almiron isn't injured, if he can play next week, then all of a sudden it's nowhere near as bad. Really,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
If
he is fit, it's nowhere near as bad because you have got Fraser that can fill in. But yeah, I think Fulham will beat Palace tomorrow as well. Having said that, though, by us getting a point tonight, that's 4 points gap. Fulham have to win tomorrow. That does put a bit of pressure on them. I know we didn't win the game, but it does put a bit of pressure back on their door. So, I guess we'll see.
It's huge. Tomorrow is huge for us. It's just a shame that we're not in control here. Where we as a fan base, I know we get a lot of shit, but we shouldn't be where we are right now with that squad. I really don't think we are. Of course, the squad is depleted, but we should accumulate a lot more points before now to be out of the scrap. Of course, like Crystal Palace out of the fight now. Obviously, their win that had earlier in the week.
If only Bruce had taken his gloves off earlier, right?
Exactly, mate. Exactly. It just shows where we are right now, and a lot of people won't want to hear that, but it just shows where we are right now. And obviously, you talk about takeovers and all that shite. Nothing's on the horizon, man. Let's be honest. Nothing's on the horizon apart from Mike Ashley, and that's a worrying thing. When we've been relegated before in the past, we've had a core of players who you think they'll get us out of that. I go into this relegation fight now thinking if we get relegated, we're fucked. We are fucked.
I know. And you know what really, really worries us, honestly, about this current situation is we can't win a game when we play badly, and we're not winning when we're playing well.
Yeah.
And that's
And
worrying.
when you drop down that league, Steve, everybody wants your scalp as well. I know we're not in the relegation zone yet. I know we haven't been relegated, but it doesn't look great. Let's be we're not going to pussyfoot around this. We're not going to sugarcoat it. It doesn't look great at all. If anyone's going to put money on a team to get relegated right now, it'll be us, 100% us.
Yeah, we must be. I mean, I've not looked at the odds, but we can't be far ahead of Fulham if we are at all, with regards to kind of the likelihood of staying up. And something I do, I mean, when we've been relegated in the past under Ashley, we've kind of sold players on in the summertime, and you look at that squad and think, who could you get money for that you could put back into the squad, as we did when Townsend, Sissoko, Janmat, Wijnaldum left last time.
Yeah.
And we've got Richie, Gale, Clark, a few more, like, obviously not all of them were. Grant Hanley coming.
Grant Hanley,
yeah. But then you look at the team now. I mean, I don't want to go through the squad and say who's going to get your money and who's not. But it's who do you want to sell as well? I mean, and we're getting ahead of ourselves. I'm not going to go down that road.
Well, again,
I don't have the faith. I mean, I wouldn't say we were lucky to get out last time, but to win the league, it was pretty much the last kick of the season, wasn't it? Steve Sidwell with that goal against Brighton. So it's a hard league to get out of. Look, the teams that have gone down this summer, last season, Norwich are second. Other two, I'm quickly looking at my league table here. I can't even see. Bournemouth are sixth. Who else went down last year? Watford are fourth, so it's piss easy. We'll be all right. They're all in the top six, so we champion.
Yeah, I just think as well, I feel now we have to just sort of deal with this week by week. Do you know what I mean? We can't say now, I think we're going to be down, and then maybe Palace don't win tomorrow, or Fulham win tomorrow, or we're definitely down then. We just need to hold off a little bit and just take it game by game for a period of time. For a period of time, there will come a time where it'll either be concrete we're down or we're not. But for now, we can't just see every goal go in and go, that's it, we're fucked now. If Fulham go up 1-0 tomorrow, and that's kind of the reaction, though, isn't it? From a lot of people, is we beat Southampton with 9 men, and everyone thought we were safe a couple of weeks ago. It can change. It can change really quickly.
I think it's momentum, though, Decker. Do you not believe that? Obviously, Fulham.
But Fulham drew. But Fulham drew at home against Burnley the last game. Then 1-1 or so. Or it was Burnley. I'm sure they played, or maybe Villa. I can't remember. It was Burnley, wasn't it? And I thought, God, they'll probably beat these, and they drew. And I'm like, they've just dropped 2 points there at home to Burnley. So that's their last game. So I don't know. I think that them will drop points as much as we will. They're not going to win every single game from here on out. You know what I mean? So
they've only got to win one more than us before the end of the season, though. Before that last game.
Oh, I know that. And this is why I come back to the injuries. You know, if I do believe if Almiron isn't injured, like what I believe Saint's going to be out for 6 weeks, I think something like that. You know, Baden.
Yeah.
If Almiron isn't as long, I do have a lot more faith in that we will get some points along the way to maybe just scrape it. But if we lose both of them for 6-7 weeks and you've got Wilson for another 4 or 5, where we're going to score a goal from? That's really worrying.
You got anything to add, Mark, before we leave it?
No, I'm just thoroughly depressed after that. It's just feels like a massive kick in the teeth, doesn't it? After after the big chances that we had, we've hit the post, we've had one disallowed, we've had one cleared off the line. It's just frustrating, and then top it all off with those injuries. It feels like it could be a very, very significant game. Whereas up until the point where we were leading 1-0 and we had them players on the pitch, it felt significant for one reason, that we had something to keep a hold of and we could push on from. Now it's gone the other way.
But let's be honest. Let's be honest, lads.
Drained a little bit.
This once again, as a football club, this could have been avoided. 100% been avoided. If we had have not appointed the manager who's in charge, has been in charge for the last season and a half now, 2 seasons nearly.
2 seasons now, yeah.
If we had not appointed him, if we had made the change earlier, so when Graham Jones came in as a coach, if we had literally sacked all that off and brought a new manager in, we could have been looking at this in a whole different light. We could have been. as always, we'll go back to the roots of the football club. And the reason why we are where we are right now is because the owner doesn't give a shit. Doesn't give a shit. As long as we're going to survive, once again, it looks doubtful. But like I said, we're still not in a relegation zone. Fulham are still chasing us, which is a positive. Of course it is. As much as I hate to say it, it is a positive for us right now as a football club because we aren't in that zone. But it's we people are jumping on this, but we need better than this. We deserve better than this. We aren't that team. We shouldn't be that team. We shouldn't be that club.
Not year after year. It feels like, every single season you're looking over your shoulder, and especially, and I know I'm going to go here, and people are going to say, "Oh God, not again." But when you look at Rafa, it was funny. Someone put a picture up of the team that we had out against West Ham when we beat them at their place. It was 3-2, wasn't it? Went 3-0 up or whatever it was. It was a close game, but we won 3-2. Savia scored, and I seen the starting lineup. And we had Joselu and Natsu up front.
Yeah,
and we finished, I think, 10th with that team, perhaps 11th, 10th. And you think, you think of what was achieved there, and you think of go back to that Fulham game when we beat them. Fulham were relegated, but we beat them 4-0. The sheer belief of, for once in a long period of time here, we might not be looking over our shoulders next season.
Yeah.
We might be comfortable, and it seems overnight we're just back to where we normally are, which is awful to say, but where we normally are.
And Degger, as a fan base, we get criticised. Newcastle United fans feel as if they should be challenging for Champions League. They should be challenging for this. They should be challenging for that. They think that they should be winning the league. I'd take 10th, 11th, 12th next season if somebody offered us it right now. Of course I would.
I'll take the Premier League next season.
Exactly. You don't want to be in a position where you're looking over your shoulder. What's all that about? You look at West Ham. We battered them first half of the season. Look where they are now.
We've sat here season after season saying we want to be sitting in mid-table. We want to be breaking into the top half of the table. That is our expectations. We want to be in the middle of that and hoping to get into the top half.
It's progression, isn't it?
That's realistic.
It was. I forget who it was that really upset people. Mark Lawrenson, it was on Football Focus one day last year when he said Newcastle want to be in the Champions League. Of course we do. And
anybody does.
At the minute, Grimsby are bottom of League 2. They want to be in the Champions League. You know what I mean? It doesn't. There's no problem with being ambitious. Newcastle, look, the Sheffield United, West Brom, Fulham, Burnley, Newcastle, Brighton. They all want to be better. They know realistically they're not going to get better than if they stay up 13th, 14th next season. Then push on a little bit more, then a little bit more. It can be over time. Why not? I mean, the money involved in the top 4, 5, 6 is unbelievable. That's a different matter. But there's no problem with saying why not try and be the best of the rest. And that's not a. And we know, the four of us know, probably 90% of the Newcastle fans that turn up at St James's Park every couple of years. It isn't a minute but they all know that realistically.
A year ago today, I think was the last time we were at home. I think
it was just for my birthday last year. Right? He said dropping a hint. So
again,
it was. We know that realistically, the best of the rest is probably the best that we're going to be able to hope for. Not now, but in the next 10 years or so. But there's nothing wrong with hoping for that. And if you appreciate it's going to be gradual, we're not going to. Football isn't like it was when Keegan was manager. Even Bobby Robson, when he came in and turned things around in like a year and a half, that really unlikely to happen now. Leicester were a freak. They've settled since. I mean, they're still a good side, but they kind of dipped off and then they've gone like that. Newcastle fans don't, to my experience, or in my experience, aren't sitting around in the pub after a game going, but we should be in the top 5, we should be in the top 6. Just want to compete. We just want to see progression. And one thing over the past 14 years, is it, since Mike Ashley came in, we haven't progressed an iota. Even off the pitch, when you look at is it the Swiss Ramble that does the yearly finances of the clubs and stuff like that, and it does the kind of reviews. It's really in depth. It's worth a read. And they always say, well, Newcastle compared to Everton, Tottenham, who they were around the same mark as in 2005, 6, 7,
sky high,
are now absolutely nowhere near them. Ashley's just they've just been left, basically. The man's got no interest in the football club, and that's even more so now that he's desperate to sell, apparently, allegedly. So yeah, it is a bit of a bugbear of mine when people say Newcastle fans expect this and that, because we don't any more so than Leeds fans do, or Sunderland fans do, or Villa fans do. We just want to see a football
Everton
club.
fans, Everton fans, I think expect a lot. You know,
You could go through the whole league table. Tottenham always got accused of having ideas of frustration. Tottenham fans are the same as us. They just want to see their team do well, you know, within realistic parameters. And it's a shame that it's such an easy thing to kind of get people to ring in the kind of talk radio stations and to kind of write letters to newspapers and tabloids and that to say, because I know that if you upset Newcastle fans, you're going to get a reaction.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's sorry, I'm on me soapbox a little bit like that. Just leave her alone. We're all right, really.
Leave her alone. I'm going to call it a night, boys. Thanks very much for joining me once again. Decker's got to go home. Everybody else is at home.
You might as well just grab a sleeping bag and stay there. Hey, not away tomorrow.
No, I'm actually off tomorrow.
Right. Thanks once again. Thanks to everybody who has been watching. Thanks to everybody who has signed up to become a member tonight. Thanks to everybody who is listening as a podcast. I know it is quite difficult to listen to a podcast when it is a live video, but hopefully we've done justice to this one. As you can probably tell by everybody's voices, we're on a bit of a downward spiral right now. We're not in the greatest of moods. We'll hope for more tonight. We'll hope for 3 points, but it didn't happen. Injuries are the biggest concern, not necessarily the points tonight, because we've got a good run coming up and we might be missing some huge players for our football club. So fingers crossed the injuries aren't as bad as what we think they may be. Fingers crossed that we're all going to have some players being able to wear that strip and walk on to that pitch next Sunday when we play West Brom. But yeah, thanks once again. Please subscribe to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel and the podcast, and plenty more stuff coming your way as always. Perfectly, Decker's lights have turned off. Thanks very much. See you later. Dong.